back to my channel. We are doing another top 5 video today. If you are new, first of all, my name is Mandy. Welcome to my channel once again. I post twice a week, and if you're interested in all things beauty, be sure and subscribe before you leave and hit that notification bell. But if you also don't know, I do a top 5 series. I started this well over a year ago, and I decided once I got done with all of my categories of makeup that I was going to start over again and start doing an updated version of my top 5. So this month it's going to be my top 5 powders. Since this is an update video, I do like to go back and tell you what was in my original top 5, as well as link it if I remember to in a card, so that you have an idea of where I'm coming from, see if there's any repeats, see what I liked then, and kind of compare it to what I like now. So last time my favorites were the Cover FX setting powder, the Urban Decay Naked Skin setting powder, which I don't even think they make anymore, the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra powder, the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Airbrush Finish powder, and the Chanel Loose Universal powder. I can tell you that 2 of those powders did make it into this update of my top 5. Powders are something I'm very picky about. I feel like powders and concealers, and foundations, I'm super picky about them because I personally want something very specific in a powder. I myself have fairly normal skin. When I'm peeling, like today, which hopefully you're not going to be able to tell, but I'm peeling today worse than I have ever peeled. I obviously can be more on the dry side. Someone who works on various faces, I know the importance, especially in pictures, but really up close too, of not being able to see your powder. It is the one thing, I think even more than foundation, that can make you look really cakey, and it can like make or break a look. So what I look for in a powder is something that's A, not going to look like a powder, B, can be used over and over again for touch-ups and continue not to look like a powder, and C, just helps alleviate shine while still looking like skin. So as always, I like to tell you how many of whatever category I'm talking about that I actually have, so you know how hard or how easy it may have been for me to narrow it down to 5, which I'm going to tell you I could not narrow it down to 5 this time. It was not easy. But I'm also going to talk about my favorite under eye setting powder, my favorite finishing powder as well. But as far as the top 5, it's really a top 6. But I have a total of 38 powders. I don't know how that compares to last time. I need to go back and look, but you know, I sell stuff in blog sales, I give stuff away, and I'm continually buying stuff. But as of right now, I do have 38 powders. And quite honestly, I like a lot of them. There are quite a few that I never reach for, but there are a lot that I absolutely love. It was really hard. I feel like this was the hardest of all of the top 5s for me to narrow it down, hence the reason I don't even really have 5, but it was really hard for me to narrow it down. So we're just gonna start, and just know that as always, I feel like I disclaim this in every video, but if I've talked about loving a powder in the past, there are no powders in my drawer that I'm looking at right now that I have said before that I loved and that I don't love anymore. So I still like whatever I have said in the past that I like. It's just, if I had to narrow it down, these are the ones that I'm going to narrow it down to. So as always, I'm going to put the name and the price and the amount, so like how many grams or ounces are in each product, down here as I'm talking about it. I'm not going to go in any particular order, but I am going to save my favorite for last, although, man, I feel like I could have a tie or triple tie for my favorite, but I'm going to do the best I can. Okay, so the first 5 or 6 that I'm going to talk about are actual setting powders for the face. Even though I have normal to dry skin, depending on my skincare that day, I still prefer to always set a foundation. I've yet to try a foundation where I actually thought that it was self-setting enough to feel comfortable not putting a little bit of powder on top of it. So it is something I use every single day. One of my absolute favorites that really does not look like powder on the face is the Too Faced Born This Way Ethereal Setting Powder. I talked about this a lot when it first came out. I still use it all the time. I sometimes take it in my kit to use because, again, there's going to be a theme. It doesn't look like powder on the face. It's almost a little hydrating. I feel like this is good for normal to dry skin. However, I do think if you have combo skin, it's not going to make you look oilier, and I do think it will help control the oils to an extent. But it's absolutely beautiful. From what I tore the top off of it. I can't smell anything. I don't think this has a fragrance like so many of the other Too Faced products do, but it's a wonderful powder, and I think very, very skin-like. Very skin-like. The next powder is also from Too Faced, but it is going to be geared more to the normal combo oily skin people, and it's the Too Faced Peach Perfect powder. This one does have fragrance. I don't understand. I mean, I get the whole like kind of chintzy, like we want everything to smell like peach, but it smells good. I just don't, I don't not think. I know it's not needed. Like fragrance isn't needed in cosmetics, but this is one where if I'm wearing a super dewy foundation and I maybe don't want to look that dewy that day, or I need the moisture from the foundation, but I want to matte it down just a little bit, I'm going to use this. But I would not consider this a mattifying powder. I don't think it makes me look flat or matte. It just really gives a natural finish. However, I find that even during the summer, I don't need to touch up at all with this powder, that it does keep my shine, even the minimal oil that I do have in my T-zone, at good bay. So like, it's not gonna shine through. I can use this in the morning and be good to go. When I do, like when I go and travel this time of year with Chad for trade shows, I will use this on top of my like Osmosis foundation, and that's all I will pack, because I know that that combination will lock and load my foundation or my face products in general for at least 16 hours, which is what I need on days like that. So this is going to be really, really, really good for anybody that really wants to have their foundation last all day, or may have a little bit of an oilier skin tone. I don't know what to talk about next. All right, this is the newest one to my collection. I don't even know if I've talked about it on camera. I know that I've used it or had it on in some of my videos, but I don't know that I've talked about it. And it's actually, I think it's a powder foundation, but I use it to set. And it is the Osmosis Pressed Base, and I have the color Natural Medium. I got this off of premierlook.com. I cannot rave enough about the Osmosis Satin Performance Wear Foundation. It's by far still my absolute favorite foundation. So I wanted to try this one for a setting powder, but I'll tell you, it's wonderful as a setting powder. It goes along, it gives a little bit more coverage, but it goes along with the others, as it doesn't look like powder, it doesn't cake up. But how I really love to use this is on days where, I don't know, like I don't have much to do, I don't have a lot of time. I'll tell you the last time I used it, I was going to get a hydrofacial, but I had a lot of errands to run beforehand, and so I knew I don't want to put a full face of makeup on because Amber's just going to have to take it all off before I get my facial, but I still want to look presentable. So what I did was I went in with a concealer under my eyes. I corrected and concealed under my eyes, and then I took this powder and I just dusted it on my face with the Osmosis powder brush. I didn't swirl it. I didn't use it as like a foundation. I just dusted it. It gave a very, very minimal coverage, but really, really made my face look almost flawless. To the extent that when I got to the hydrofacial, Amber was like, oh, your makeup looks so good today. What do you have on? I'm like, girl, I have on powder and concealer. It makes me feel like I need to just wear that more often. But I think that if you are that type of minimal makeup person, or you do love a powder foundation, or you want a powder that is A, not going to look like powder, but B, give you a little bit more coverage to set your foundation, this is going to be your best bet. I like to use this with very sheer foundations like the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue. What else is really sheer? Like BB creams. I like to use this because it does give it a little more coverage, but it just smooths everything out and makes it look so, so good. The next one I have talked about to the nth degree after I got it. I feel like I talked about this in at least 6 videos in a row, and it is the Note Luminous Silk Compact Powder. This is a drugstore powder. You can get it at Ulta online. I don't think they carry this in stores, but I've talked about the bronzer a ton, but I do know that I've used this in quite a few videos talking about how much I love it. I have the color number 4 Sand. Again, this has a little tiny bit of coverage to it, but really not a ton. It looks scary and yellow in the pan, but again, it doesn't come off that way on the face. This is one of those ones that not only doesn't look like powder, but it gives a luminosity to the face. I'm the type of person where I feel like I look like my best right after I work out with sweat on my face. Like that, the sheen that it gives you, I feel like that's when I look my best. I like for my face to be glowy and near sweaty looking. I know that sounds awful, but it's the way I am. So when I find a powder that is gonna give me both best of both worlds, it's gonna set my makeup, but it's also gonna kind of make me look luminous and glowy and like I just worked out, I'm gonna love it. And I absolutely love this. I've used it so much you can't even see where the name note used to be on there. Yeah, I've used it so much I'm probably about to hit pan on it. This is the powder that I am actually wearing today because I'm peeling so bad. This is the one that I feel like works the best on super dry skin. And I've had some of y'all tell me you have super oily skin and that it works really good on yours as well. So really it's an all-around amazing powder, and it's the Glow Skin Beauty Perfecting Powder. I showed this and actually used it in my Glow Skin Beauty video that I did not too long ago. It is translucent, although it looks super light. It does not have any coverage and it goes on pretty clear, but it's so this is the most non-powdery powder I'm going to talk about today, if that makes sense. It gives me a glow. However, I know the ones of y'all that are oily, it doesn't. So I feel like it kind of knows what skin type you have and it adjusts accordingly. I love this because it is not something that will disrupt or make my face drier, but it's not going to make it oily either. So I will just take a very large powder brush like my Lumiere or my Osmosis, and I just dipped it in today and I literally just patted it very easily because I did not want to disrupt the peeling that was already happening on my face. And it just sets the makeup so perfectly. But if you got super close to my face, you would not be able to see powder at all. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a mineral-based makeup, just like the Osmosis. It's not gonna have anything bad in there for your skin, and you can feel good about wearing it. It's absolutely beautiful. I need to be quiet. All right, my absolute favorite setting powder has not changed. It is still the same setting powder that was my favorite in my last video. I wish it wasn't because I'm pretty sure it's not that great for your skin. It probably has fragrance in it. I can't smell it, but that doesn't mean anything. And it's the Chanel Universal Loose Setting Powder. I have mine in the color 30, which I think is natural. I got it from Nordstrom. I am very low. Can you see? Like, I don't have much left at all. This is one of those things where it's like, do I want whatever foundation I have on to look perfect? Do I need to question whether it's too dewy and it needs a little bit more of a matte powder, or it's too dry or matte and needs a little bit more of a dewy powder? Or do I want to reach for a powder that's going to work over every single foundation that I have? I'm going to reach for this because this does. It works over every single foundation I have. Every foundation review I do, I will include a day where I use this powder, and I don't ever remember having a bad day with it. In fact, most of the time it ends up being my favorite powder with that specific foundation because it just works. Now, real quick, my favorite touch-up powder. Now, this is one of my favorites in my kit as a setting powder. I just tend to carry it in my purse as a touch-up powder because it really is the best one that I have found. It will completely take away shine and mattify your face, but again, still not look powder. And it's something, look like powder. It's something you can put on over and over and over and over again, and it will never, ever look like powder. One of the reasons it's my favorite in my kit, and it's the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. And this is still the one that I've been working on a lot. When I hit pan, I decided to put it in my purse for a touch-up because that's what I love it the most for. And it's perfect. I can even use my finger to touch up with this and it's not gonna mess it up. Like, I will, if I don't have my brush, I'll just rub my finger in it and I'll pat it on the areas that I wanna touch up, and it sinks into the skin beautifully. I cannot recommend this enough. Again, I have a few more in my kit that I actually use for setting. I just keep this one in my purse for touch-ups. Real quick, I'm going to show you, because it's going to be a 20-minute video, my favorite under eye setting powders. I have two. The first is the Beautycounter mattifying powder. If you have super, super, super dry under eyes, I'm talking like flaky on a daily basis, this might be a little too dry for you. However, I find that it makes my under eyes look flawless. And then the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder will forever be a favorite of mine. I really do like the way this looks as well. And in my kit is the NARS Crystal Setting Powder. Again, a wonderful one. I think I use that, no, I know I use that on 95% of my clients under their eyes. And finally, my very favorite finishing powder, it will come as no surprise, the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in Radiant Light. This is a new one that I just opened, and it's my third compact that I have gone through. I use this every single day of my life that I put makeup on to buff out at the very end as a finishing powder. You cannot beat the Hourglass powders. I have talked about them ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but know that there is nothing I have found that's better to buff your face out with than the Hourglass powders. Woo! I feel like I've been talking 90 miles a minute or 90 miles an hour, probably because I have, but I have finally finished my top 5, really 6 powders plus some under eye and finishing powders video for y'all. Wow, that's long. Okay, as always on my top 5, I always want y'all to tell me in the comment section what your all-time favorite powder is, and also if you have tried any of the powders that I've recommended in the past and how they worked out for you. I would love to know that as well. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.